All right, let's jump right in. What if I told you that the secret to speaking English fluently isn't about memorizing thousands and thousands of words? What if it's actually about truly, deeply mastering just 300? I know, it sounds kind of crazy, but that's exactly what we're going to break down.
Hey, does this sound like you? You've spent countless hours with flashcards. You can recognize a ton of vocabulary, but then when someone asks you a simple question in a real conversation, you just freeze up. You're scrambling inside your head for the right words, the grammar feels all wrong, and before you know it, the conversation has moved on without you. It is so frustrating, and you are definitely not alone.
And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the problem. You see, there's a huge gap between passively knowing a word and actively using it. You could ace a vocabulary test, no problem, but still get stuck trying to answer a simple question like, so, what did you do yesterday? That gap is exactly where fluency gets lost. I love this analogy because it is just so perfect. Having a massive vocabulary is like having this big, shiny toolbox filled with professional grade tools. I mean, it looks super impressive, right? But if you don't actually know how to use the hammer and the saw and the screwdriver together, you can't even build a simple little chair. The tools themselves are totally useless without the skill to use them. So, how do we start building something with our words? Well, the solution is all about a powerful shift in how we think about learning. It's not about getting more tools for your toolbox. It's about becoming a master of the most essential ones. And it all kicks off with this number, 300. What on earth is so special about 300? Okay, get ready for this because the research is kind of mind-blowing. The 300 most common words in English make up a staggering 65% of all daily spoken conversations. Let that sink in. Master just those, and you can understand and participate in the majority of everyday talk. And if you bump that up to the top 1,000 words, you're covering almost 90% of conversations. Now that is a total game changer. So the real goal here is to own these core words. What does that mean, to own a word? It means it's part of your active, ready-to-use toolkit. Think about the word get. You don't just know its dictionary definition, you can instantly, automatically, without even thinking, use it in all its different ways. Get up, get tired, get a coffee, get better. That right there is the difference between just knowing something and being fluent. All right, that all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? How do you make that leap from just knowing words to really owning them? Well, here's a practical 4-step action plan to take you from knowing to doing. So, here's the game plan. First, you've got to choose your core words. Start with the most common ones for sure, but then add words that are actually relevant to your life. Second, and listen, this one is non-negotiable. Never learn a word by itself. Always learn it in a full sentence. Third, build on what you already have. Connect new words to sentence patterns you're already comfortable with. And finally, you have to practice. Tell a simple story about your week using only your core vocabulary.
And this right here is a perfect example of step 2 in action. Memorizing arrive to reach a place is totally abstract. It doesn't help you speak. But learning the full sentence, I usually arrive at work at 9 a.m., now that gives you a piece of language that's ready to go. It's got context, it's got grammar, it's got a real-world use. It's just infinitely more valuable.
Okay, the plan is solid. But you know, a plan is just a wish if you don't actually put it into action. So how do you make this a habit that actually sticks? The secret isn't about cramming for hours. It's all about consistency. And look, forget studying for hours at a time. That just leads to burnout. Instead, try this super simple 15-minute daily routine. Just 5 minutes in the morning to say yesterday's sentences out loud. 5 minutes in the afternoon to just listen for your core words in a song or a podcast. And 5 minutes in the evening to tell a quick 1-minute story about your day. It's short, it's easy to manage, and believe me, it is incredibly effective over time. Now, as you start speaking more, something is going to happen. You are going to make mistakes, a lot of them. And that is not just okay, it is absolutely essential for learning. You have to change how you think about this. Mistakes are not failures. They are your teachers. They show you exactly what you need to work on next, so you got to learn to embrace them. And this really gets to the true goal of all this. It's not perfection. You know, even native speakers aren't perfect. The real goal is just communication. If the person you're talking to understands your idea, you've won. You succeeded. So focus on being understood, not on being flawless. So let's say you do it. You commit to this process. You practice every day, and you learn to be okay with making mistakes. What's the payoff? What does this path to fluency actually look and feel like? Every single time you practice, you're physically building and strengthening something in your brain called fluency pathways. The best way to think about it is like trying to walk through a dense forest. The first time, there's no path, and it's really slow and difficult. But if you walk that same route every day, a clear, easy path starts to form. And eventually, you can walk it without even thinking. That's exactly what's happening with language inside your brain.
And this is the kind of real progress you can expect to see. After about 3 months of doing this consistently, you'll notice your speaking speed is faster and your confidence is way up. By 6 months, English just starts to feel more natural. And somewhere within a year, a lot of people hit what we call the fluency breakthrough. That's that amazing moment when you realize you're not translating in your head anymore, you're just speaking.
So, where does this whole journey begin? It begins right now with one tiny action. Here's your challenge. The second this is over, grab a notebook or open a file on your computer and just write 5 simple sentences about your day. Use only the words you already own. That first step, that's the most important one on your entire path to fluency.